welcome back to the bench. Today we're going to continue to work on the Vanquish VS4-10 Phoenix, and we're going to get it running today. We're going to put the electronics in. We have most of the electronics in. We're going to finish up the electronics with a radio and a transmitter. So the radio and transmitter we're going to be using is called the Radio Link RC4GSV3. This is a 5-channel radio. We need 1, 2, 3, 4. And if we want lights, 5. So this Radio Link, 67 channels, 8S model battery, voltage, real-time telemetry, if you use their receiver, 2 to 4S LiPo, or 6 pieces of AA batteries for the power supply, and on and on and on and on and on. I'll have a link in the description for this radio. It's your instructions. One receiver, 6 channels, and 1 transmitter. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 batteries. Okay, so 6 batteries. We got a button here, a button here, a button here, here, a button here, a button here. Got buttons over here. USB connector. Okay, so 6 the old standby Amazon batteries. Alrighty then. LED screen, steering trim, throttle trim, Model 1, and a bunch of plus, enter, exit button, and a plus and minus, or increase or decrease. See, 9.7 volts. The on-off switch, antenna. Feels good. Alright, so now we have the receiver and transmitter unboxed. Receiver, transmitter. We're going to bind the two together. According to the instructions, to bind this, we would plug in our ESC. In this case, the ESC is part of the motor. It goes into channel 2. Or the number 2 marked on here. Okay? That should power the receiver. But to do that, we've got to plug in a battery. So we plug in a battery, turn on the transmitter. Always turn on the transmitter first. And this transmitter has an LED panel so that you can see what's going on. Model number 1, that's our first one in here. You can put 67 different models on this thing, okay? Then we turn on the receiver, or the ESC, which will turn on the receiver. We got 3 beeps. We got a green light on the receiver. This red light tells us we're on, and we're bound. And to find out, we will do a little test on the wheels here, or the driving. Okay, and it's correct. Now, if it was going in reverse when you pull it forward, or going forward when you pull it in the reverse, on this receiver, if you touch the exit and enter button at the same time, and if you go into the instructions, it tells you that menu number 12 is the reverse, channel reverse, which will reverse the channel so it'll go forward or backward, okay? We don't have to do that, but if you need to, you can. Okay. Okay, so now that we have the drive function or the motor function set up, we're going to set up the servo, okay? Now, to set up the servo, turn off our electronics transmitter and receiver. We're going to disconnect the servo here. From the servo horn from the drive horn. Okay, and then we'll turn on you plug the servo into channel 1, turn on the receiver, turn on the transmitter, and the servo horn should be centered. Okay, and we can find out if it's working by turning the steering, and the servo horn is moving back and forth. Okay, so the center is right there. So we hook this back up and see if, and you can see if I hook it up, we're going to be off to your left. Okay, the steering's not straight. It needs to be here, which means the servo horn either needs to come off and be moved over to towards the steering arm, okay? Or we can hook it up to the servo steering servo arm, servo horn, whatever you want to call it. Okay, let go of my wrench. All right, turn it back on, and we see that it's not centered. On the transmitter, there is a steering trim, okay? And the steering trim is this button right here on the transmitter. Push it up, and the steering goes to my left. And we just line it up like that, okay? Now the steering's straight, okay? The next thing you want to check is the throw. How far are the end points? How far do these turn? Okay? Now I set the transmitter up for 50% to start with, so I wasn't oversteering into anything. And I'm going to leave it right there for now. But to do the steering or the setting the end points, how far it will turn, is number 3. So we press the exit and enter button, go down to number 3, enter, and I have them set for 50 and 50 right here. You can change that, okay? Actually, I got this one set for 57. But 50-50, all right? And we're going to do this again when we talk about putting the other servos in so we don't over and go too far when we're trying to shift, okay? So I got them set at 50-50, and that gives me my turning radius. I don't know what it is, but we will check that out, and if we need to change it, we will, okay? So that's all there is to setting up the steering servo. Okay? Now we'll shut that off. Turn off the transmitter. Tighten up the servo horn, put the screw back in it. And on this servo horn, there's a little screw on the side. Okay. So, the dig function servo goes in. As soon as I find it. Okay, with the servo horn on the servo horn, or we put it in this way. The servo horn, oh come on, Doug. Put it in this way, like this. The servo horn should, okay, or perpendicular to the servo. Okay, so we got it perpendicular to the servo. It's off a couple tooth, but we can adjust that. Okay, and now we'll tighten this screw back up. Put the screw in the top of the servo horn. All right, and put it back. Oops, let's take these screws out. Get the right servo. Okay. Got two, so I'm going to put the servo back in. Okay. So, connect the servo arm back to the drive arm, or the shifting arm in this. Okay. Now, turn it on. Okay, now go in and to the endpoints. Okay, so once you have the servo adjusted, then all you have to do is push the button. It goes from one to the other. Okay, I'll show you how this is done again on the other side for the other servo. The other servo goes in. So according to the directions, the servo arm should be centered here. Okay, so what we do is plug it into the receiver. We're going to use channel 4. Should be centered. And it goes like so. Goes like that. goes in this way, just like this. Okay, and then hook the shifting arm back up to the servo in the 0 position. And if that's where you want it, whichever, if you want it in the dig function or not. I got it set so not in the dig function. Okay, now we have them both hooked up. Okay, we have the dig function hooked to channel 4, which is this button right here. Okay, and so when it's, there's the dig function one way, the other way. Okay, and then the overdrive one way, then the other way. Okay, so here's what I have the settings on. For channel 3, I have 36, 25. 36 on the left number, 25 on the other number. Now to fit channel 5, 50, 25. I think the 25 don't make any difference. It's not going that way. I could probably turn those to 0. Let's see. Okay, so on channel 4, we have it set to 0. Right, it makes no difference. Okay. So I set up channel 4, and I probably need to turn the endpoint down a little bit on channel 4 because I got a buzz in my... Alright, we got the buzz out of those two. Alright, so the settings again, for channel 4, I'm at 36%, and on channel 5, I'm at 11%. 11% on the right-hand side because it goes a different way than the other one. So channel 4 is 36, channel 5 is 11. I'm sure that everybody's is going to be different, but that's what you need to do, okay? Now, the setup is button A, okay? Channel 4 is button A. That's this button here. Channel 5 is this button here. Channel D. Okay? So A and D. Okay? A is connected to the dig function. D is connected to the overdrive function. Okay? So dig function and overdrive on and off. Okay? Alright. And each one of those channels, channel 4 and A, has the endpoint set so that it shifts where I want it to. You'll have to change your endpoints for your servo. Okay, any questions? Of course. That's clear as mud, right? But anyway, we got it done. Okay? So, we are drivable, shiftable, and all that good stuff. So, let's button everything up. On your transmitter, you want to lock the channel so that when you push the button, it moves so far, and when you push it again, it comes back to 0. So your 0 point will be one of your shift functions, one like either your overdrive or non-overdrive, or your dig or non-dig, and then you set an endpoint for the other shift point. Okay? Alrighty, now all we have to do is pretty all this stuff up. I think I'm going to put my receiver on this tray over here and my switch because there's room for it. I don't have an ESC. And then the battery, of course, goes back here into the battery tray. Okay? So the battery tray, and then you can pretty up your wires. I'm going to put my transmitter and my switch over here, I think. Okay? On this tray. And then pretty up all the wires. Battery goes here. All right. That is the electronics. We now have a driving vehicle, which has a dig function, which steers. Steering is good. This motor is amazing. How slow it'll crawl in either direction. Look at how slow that'll go. That's amazing. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one. Have a great day.